Her triumphs. I took a group of women that didn't believe in themselves, and I just believed in them. Her trials.
I never wanted to go to practice. I was losing a ton of weight.
Her story.
I just put my faith in God and just trusted the system.
Her why.
I want people to see what I did and say, oh, that's so awesome. I'm going to be better than that. That would be how I hope that this journey ends.
This is Her Why, where we tell the stories from BYU women's sports. Here is your host, Lauren McLean.
The BYU women's soccer team went back-to-back years as national champion runner-ups and Sweet 16 contenders. And today's guest played a big part in both years, notching the 2022 WCC Midfielder of the Year award and making the All-WCC first team. Joining us now is second-team All-American Jenna Shepherd. Thanks for coming on with me, Jamie.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So happy to have you on. You've already played at BYU for 4 years, but you're coming back for one more season. Do you feel like you have some unfinished business?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's crazy to think that I've already been here for 4 years. I feel like I'm still a freshman, but so excited and grateful that I have one more year. And absolutely, we've got some unfinished business left, and we're so excited for this last year.
What made you personally want to come back for one more year?
I think that unfinished business. I think we've got a great senior class. There's a lot of us, about 12, I think. So all of us are coming back and just ready to try to do something that BYU soccer hasn't done.
When you first started playing soccer, when you were younger, when was it that you started thinking, okay, I could kind of go far with this sport?
Yeah, I've been playing soccer for as long as I can remember. Probably since I was 4 or 5 years old, and I've just loved it ever since. I'm not sure. Probably later on, maybe around 8th or 9th grade, realizing, I really like this. I grew up kind of going to the BYU women's soccer games, and I've kind of always wanted to be here. And so probably around then.
Oh, I love that so much. And is that around the same time you're like, I really want to play college soccer? Specifically, was it around that same age?
Yeah, probably around that same age.
Okay. You have an older sister, Jenna, who is a soccer player and ended up playing at UVU. Were you two teammates growing up? You said she's 3 years older than you, but did you guys get to play with each other?
Actually, no, we never played with each other, which is crazy. So she's 3 years older than me, like you said, but Jenna tore her ACL twice in high school. So we would have had a year playing together in high school soccer, but that didn't end up happening because of her injuries that she has had. We actually were able to play a year of basketball together, her senior year,
Wow.
my freshman year. So that was kind of fun. Wasn't soccer, but so it's been kind of crazy. We never have been able to play with each other, which is kind of sad. Lots of times against each other.
You have 4 siblings, is that right?
Yep, 1 of 5. Yep.
Were you guys pretty competitive growing up?
Very, yes. Lots of, my dad, so we have 4 girls and then a little boy at the end. And so those 4 girls, he didn't get his boys, so he said he's sticking his girls into sports. So kind of forced into sports, lots of soccer and basketball. So just grew up playing sports and being competitive and kind of fun.
You played in American Fork High School, and BYU and UVU are right in your backyard. Were they the first 2 schools to come knocking at your door saying, we want you to come play for us?
Yeah, so I always kind of wanted to stay in state. Obviously, Utah has some great college programs, like you said, BYU, UVU, and Utah. And so, those were the first ones I was kind of interested in. And luckily, I was able to stay here where I wanted to be. Like you said, in my backyard, hometown. So BYU, and I've loved it.
Did you ever think, so obviously you chose to come to BYU, but did you ever think of playing alongside her as a member of the Wolverine squad?
That's a tough question. Not a ton. My goal was always to come to here at BYU. And once I was given that opportunity, I was so happy and grateful and took it.
What did your family think when you officially announced you were going to be playing soccer at BYU?
Just very excited. I think me and my sisters and my dad have grown up, like I said earlier, coming to these games. I know a lot of the past players, loved coming and sitting on watching South sitting at Southfield and watching those games. So when I was able to commit here and come, it was super exciting, and they were super excited for me.
So once you made that decision and you know you're going to play against your sister Jenna, did you have to set any like ground rules or anything when you two played against each other? Like, we got to be nice. What was that conversation like?
Yeah. I remember the first time we played each other our freshman year, it was a little like, oh boy, here we go. You know, we've kind of decided on the field, you know, when we step on the field, it's game on. We're with our teams, and the competition it's fair game. But when the game's over, we'll step off the field and we'll be friends and family again. So.
And how's that been for your parents and the rest of your family when they're sitting in the stands? What color are they wearing?
Yeah, I think my mom and dad definitely take it the hardest. It's definitely hardest on them for sure. It's a win or a loss. And so either way, it's tough. But they've been super supportive, and we know that they love both of us. And so I'm super grateful for them and their support, and knowing that no matter what happens on the field, they still love us and aren't too worried about that.
Yeah, that just has to be an incredible experience for your parents, being able to watch two of their daughters succeed at the collegiate level. Just what an incredible thing that a lot of parents dream about. Has your sister always been a defender for the Wolverines?
Yes. Yep. She's always played center back for them.
How do you feel like you played in that first match against her? I believe that was in 2000. Was that in 2019?
Yep, 2019. Yeah, our first
how
match.
did you play in that match? What do you remember about it?
That was a crazy match. That's all I remember. I remember I got 2 yellow cards, actually. So 2 yellow cards equals up to a red. So I was booted out of that game. So that was devastating. Luckily, we had scored about 10 minutes earlier before I got booted. So we came out of the game 1-0, but that was a very interesting, emotional game for sure.
Can I just tell you, I love the fire. I truly do. Did it have anything to do with your sister being on the other side, or was it completely different circumstances that had to do with the game?
Maybe a little. Maybe just a little.
Oh, I love it. I wish I could have seen that. You personally have a 3-1 record against UVU. That one loss was just this past season in 2022. Mm-hmm. Was that a tough one for you personally?
Very. Yes, that was a hard one to swallow. They kind of got us at the middle of the season when we were a little bit struggling and trying to figure some things out, and credit to them, they played great and we didn't show up. But definitely having to come off that field, knowing that we just lost to my sister, having to go greet her. It was a tough one, but you know what? Like you said, we've taken the other 3, and so now we're equal.
You end up playing UVU again in the NCAA tournament, and you registered an assist in the 3-0 win. What was it like for her and your family after that match specifically?
This match was definitely a lot more emotional. There was a lot more at hand. You know, it was a NCAA game, tournament game. And so winner went on and loser went home. So there was a lot of emotions riding in this game. So it was tough on both me and my sister and our family. But me and Jenna talked many times before the game and just said, whatever happens on the field stays on the field, and we're going to play our hardest and play for our teams. But when it's all said and done, we'll step off that field and still be sisters, and we still have a great relationship. And I'm grateful that we are both able to kind of be mature about it and still have that relationship.
I love that so much. And during those Sunday dinners, do you ever have to kind of set some ground rules like, okay, we're not going to talk about soccer. Let's just be us. Do you ever have those conversations?
Yes, because that is a lot of the topic of conversation. Soccer, sports. Sometimes we just have to say, you know what, we're going to take a break and let's talk about something new.
All right, and speaking of breaks, we're going to take a quick break right now, but when we come back, we'll have more from BYU women's soccer, Jenna Shepherd. I'm Lauren McLean, and I'm here with last year's WCC Midfielder of the Year, Jenna Shepherd. Jamie, when you started playing soccer at BYU in 2019, you started your very first match at Alabama. Were you expecting to do that in your very first season?
No, that was a big game. I remember we started off with a very hard competitive preseason. We had a great team. Obviously, it was my freshman year. I was stepping in and playing that sixth position, and I remember being very nervous. It was a big game. Alabama was a good team, but we had a lot of older girls on that team, and they were great leaders, and so that definitely made it a little bit easier.
So I'm sure you're nervous starting your very first match as a freshman, but what happens when you actually step out on the pitch? What happens to your emotions then?
I think they kind of just go away. You start, like you've played this game for as long as you can remember since you were just a little girl. And once you step out on that pitch, everything kind of goes blank and you just are able to just play.
So in your very first match, I mean, I'm sure you got a lot of doubts going through in your head. Like, can I keep up? Can I, this is the next level. When you started playing, are you like, okay, I belong here, I can do it? Or what was going through your mind?
Yeah, I think you just have to remember that you're here for a reason and that they picked you and they wanted you to be on their team. And so you just have to remember the things that make you good and focus on those things and try not to do too much and just come out and play your game.
All right, so here's a little bit of trivia for you, which I'm sure you know very well. What is the one and only match you didn't start?
Probably the game after I got that red card.
And who was the opponent?
One of the Kansas teams.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I
you
remember
are right.
That game.
And I think that's the only match you have not started in your career. Is that right?
I think so. Crazy.
You scored your first goal against Gonzaga that first season and then another goal against Boise State in the first round of the NCAA tournament. What do you remember about those two goals?
They were very exciting. I was playing that holding mid, and you don't score a ton of goals. You're not in a lot of the action. You're kind of sending the ball up there. So I remember traveling down to Gonzaga. They were a great team, and I was able to get that first goal, and it was really a really special moment to score my first goal for BYU and just to celebrate with my teammates and to win that game. I just remember it being a very happy moment.
It's such a rare thing for a freshman to come in and just get started and start in Division I women's soccer. What were some of the conversations you had with Coach Rockwood that very first year?
Yeah, I was very lucky. My freshman year, they had a lot of returning players from that previous year. And I'm pretty sure it was Olivia Wade who played that sixth position, and she ended up going on a mission. And so that position was opened up when I came in as a freshman, and I was able to step in and play that position. And all the coaches were super helpful and just, gave me that confidence and believed in me and put me there and knew that I could do it.
Your team's only loss that season was to Stanford in the NCAA quarterfinals. After that season, were you expecting to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament because you realized how good the team was?
To be honest, no, I was not because, that was my freshman year. We had a ton of seniors. So I think that year we graduated 10 or so seniors. And so I remember my dad telling me after my freshman year, he said, well, I hope you enjoyed that because that is not going to happen again. BYU going to the Elite Eight, losing to the national champion. Stanford went on to win the national championship. He just said, that's not going to happen again. And so we laugh about that, knowing that the following year after COVID, we made a huge run and went on and made it to the national championship. So
before we talk about that year, let's talk about the next season, the spring season, which was probably a little bit weird for you. You guys get knocked out in the second round. Yeah. Was it a little bit of a shock to you and your team to get eliminated so early after such a great run the year before?
Yes, for sure. Obviously, leading up to that year was very weird. With the COVID year, our season got pushed to the spring, so everything was just off and a little bit weird that year. But we still had a great team, and so to get knocked out that second round was very heartbreaking and very unexpected. But I think that was some of the motivation and to help us the following year.
Well, and then there was that magical run of 2021, and you're like, "What's
Yes.
up, Dad? I told you we'd be back." What was it about that team? What was it about that team that led you to the national championship match?
I think coming off that that second round loss, we lost to Virginia. Kind of was the drive that year. Santa Clara ended up winning that COVID season national championship, and I think that was a little bit of a wake-up call for us, knowing that we play them and we compete with them, and if they can win a national championship, so can we, and we can compete with the best. And so I think that was we just had a real mindset change, and coming into that year, it wasn't easy. We definitely still had a lot of ups and downs, but we really came together as a team, and when it counted and when it mattered, we pulled off some big wins, and we beat Virginia down. I think that was the Sweet 16, and we got our payback, and then just continued on. And so it was a crazy year, a very fun, exciting year.
And how satisfying was it to beat Santa Clara in the semifinals after they beat you earlier in the season?
Oh, so satisfying. We've had a lot of back and forth with Santa Clara, so to beat them in the Final Four on their home field was an awesome game.
What would you say was the mindset of the team going into that championship match against Florida State? What were you guys thinking?
I think kind of the same thing we'd been thinking all year. We were capable of competing at this high level, and that we could win a national championship. And I think we came into that game believing that, and we played our hardest and competed, and ended up didn't going our way, but we definitely came out and gave it our all.
You played to a scoreless tie, lose on PKs. How hard was that for you guys to know you were so close to winning the title?
Heartbreaking. You never want to lose in a PK. PKs are brutal, and so to lose that way was heartbreaking, to be so close, but yet so far away.
I'm sure it's hard to kind of sum up that season, but how would you say that whole experience was for you personally?
I would just say it was a journey. Like I said, we had a lot of ups and downs. We had a lot of lows at the beginning of that year. We had a loss to Utah State, and that loss was kind of the turn for us. We had some struggles, and after that loss, we had about 2 weeks before we played another before we played another game, and we really came together as a team and kind of flipped the switch. And so it was really fun to see us work and struggle together, but then work together and figure things out and come together to make it so far.
So much resiliency. And 2022 was a pivotal season for you. It was going to be different because some of the veterans were moving on, Cameron Tucker, Michaela Coulihan, and it was a new team. But were you thinking that you could make it back to the title game again?
Yeah, it was crazy and stressful knowing that those older girls, Michaela and Cam, who were so big for us and so vital for that season, and knowing that they were leaving. But I did know that we had a lot of returning players still from that previous team. And so we just hoped and knew that we were going to still be okay. And so 2022 was a good year for us. Didn't make it as far, but we still had a great team left.
What role did you take on this past season with those veterans being gone?
A different role, that's for sure. Definitely kind of had to step up a little bit in a leadership role, and that was hard. I'd been in leadership roles before growing up, but nothing like this. It was definitely a role change, but I think a lot of us younger girls who had a little bit been kind of coasting had to really step up and fill some big shoes.
What did that leadership role include for you?
I think being a little bit more outspoken and kind of taking charge and being the boss a little bit, which is kind of hard for me. On the field, I'm a very vocal person, but and sometimes off the field, I kind of just like to go with the flow and let people do what they want to do. And so that was a change for me to kind of step up and kind of take charge and run the show a little bit.
So I'm curious how this was for you as one of the leaders of the team. The early season was a little bit rough for you guys. Your team gave up late goals that led to losses or ties. What was that like for you and for the team?
It was hard. I think especially being in that leadership role, when things aren't going right, you start to panic a lot because a lot of people are looking towards you, and you don't know what's going on or what the problem is or how to solve it. And so it was very stressful. But I had to kind of turn to a lot of the other girls and get other girls involved. And towards the end of the year, we kind of came together a little bit and figured it out. But at the beginning, it was hard and it was stressful.
You scored 7 goals last season. You had scored 6 goals total coming into the season. What made the difference for you?
Yeah, geez, that stat is crazy. No, I'm like, geez.
I've never thought of that.
I'm like, huh. At the beginning of last season, I was playing a little bit more attacking, so that definitely helped putting me in a little bit more higher positions, being a little bit more in the action. So that definitely helped me be able to score some goals. But I think also just a little mindset change, knowing that we needed some goals. Michaela and Cam leaving, they were our top goal scorers. Someone had to replace them. So I think a lot of us had a mindset change, knowing we needed to be goal scorers.
After a little bit of a rocky start, you guys didn't lose a match in WCC play. So again with the resiliency, this team is incredible. What do you think turned things around at that point in the season?
I think just learning from those earlier games and those losses and those ties and making adjustments and changes, I think we did that very well. We coming into the WCC conference play, we just knew we had to perform. We had to get those wins and we couldn't lose. And so I think just coming in, knowing what we needed to do was big for us.
We mentioned that you beat UVU 3-0 in the first round. You move on to North Carolina to face Stanford, and your team wins on penalty kicks in the second round.
Again.
Yeah, but before that, you had a chance to win it in overtime. How close were you to scoring a goal before the PKs?
Oh, that Stanford game was crazy. A lot of back and forth, but definitely towards the end of the game, we were pushing a lot. And to not get it is hard, knowing that the game's over and you are going into penalty kicks. So that is a little bit overwhelming. But yeah, we were very close, and we kept pushing till the very end.
I love that you say, here we go again. Because that had to have been what it felt like,
Seriously.
right? You're like, oh my gosh,
Yep.
Are we really doing this again?
Yep, seriously.
You're one of the leading goal scorers coming into the game, and you're the leader on the team, and you have to stand and watch. How nerve-wracking was that for you, just to put all your trust on your teammates at that moment?
Very nerve-wracking. It was hard to be over there on the sideline knowing that you're putting all your trust and faith in your teammates. And so it was scary being over there, but I had full confidence in them the whole time.
What was it like for you when Ellie Mon made that last goal?
So exciting. I just love Ellie, and to see her be able to put that final goal away for us to win was just such an exciting moment.
You guys ended up losing 3-2 to North Carolina in the Sweet 16. And there has to be a little bit of back and forth here because you guys lost some of your veteran players. So was it tough on your team after what happened the season before, or was it satisfying knowing how far you had come with the team you had?
A little bit of both. We definitely had some high expectations for this year coming off of such a great run. So it was hard to see us lose in the Sweet 16, but also knowing that we gave it our all and that we did compete with North Carolina was also a little bit satisfying, knowing that they went on to the national championship, but knowing that we competed and we're right there with them, and we'll just be back the next year.
You now move into your spring season. What are the main things that you want to focus on?
Yeah, I think spring season is huge for us. We're very lucky to be able to play a lot of games against some good competitive teams. I think just kind of figuring out our identity again this spring season and what's going to make this team special. We've got a lot of new girls, young girls, and just kind of figuring out everyone's role will be huge for us.
What are your thoughts on the fact that you're going to be playing in a completely different conference? You're going to be in the Big 12 next season. How does that make you feel?
We are so excited. Super fun. We've loved playing in the WCC. Some great competition, but we're excited to go to some new places and to see some new faces and to just compete.
You've already played 4 seasons, and you're going to be getting your bachelor's degree soon. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. In what? What are you getting your bachelor's degree in?
I got my bachelor's degree in family studies, family life.
Wow.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
kind of fun. Thank you.
So cool. So did you ever think that
Enjoyed
this
it.
would be your last season since you have your bachelor's degree and, like you've done so much for this team?
Yeah.
Or were you always planning on coming back for another year?
I think I was always planning on coming back for another year. I love it so much, and if I get the opportunity to play another year, I'm going to stay and take it. So,
Absolutely. You've been in an NCAA championship match. You got close again last year. What do you feel like it's going to take for you in your final year to make a good run again?
it's going to take a lot of commitment and hard work, but we've got a great group of girls, a lot of seniors and girls that have a lot of experience. Most of this team was a part of the team when we made our run to the national championship, and so we know what it takes and what it feels like, and we're starting that journey right now. So we're super excited and know that it's going to take a lot, but we're excited to accept the journey and take the journey.
I'm here with BYU Women's Soccer's Jenna Shepherd. Jamie, thank you so much for taking the time with me. Good luck in the spring season. I'm super excited to see what you do this year.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
You can download and listen to all episodes of Her Why on the BYU Radio app or wherever you find podcasts. Her Why is a production of BYU Radio.